All right. Board member Mitchell, Waukesha just scared me. Um, um, but we should be good. I think we have most of our community members in the room, and so if you're ready. And also we have board member Jones who just joined the call as well.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining me this evening for our District 5 update. Hopefully I don't keep you long on this nice Monday night. I believe the rest of the week is going to be cold. So with that being said, I wanted to jump right in just to talk about a couple of updates, engage with our around the literacy policy, and then open to any feedback that anyone may have, issues or concerns, recommendations, or just want to give a statement or whatever you may. This is two-way conversation. This is open to us all this evening. So I want to also respect that time that you have for engagement. So I will start off by saying I believe and I know it seems like we're off to a pretty good start this fall. What's several rollouts of implementation from administration. What we have coming up now, and we have two people from the administration that could give a little bit more detailed information, which is our regional meetings that Dr. Battle will be hosting in conjunction with the board, and also our family engagement conference. The regional meetings will engage around, I believe, the superintendent search, the literacy policy, and additional feedback on anything that is happening around the district. I think more so in other different areas. It's area focused, I believe. So we have north, west, south, and east meetings that will be going on. I'll shoot it over to B for the additional information around the dates and times for those different regional meetings, or Travis. I'm not sure which one has additional information that we can drop in the chat so you can all receive that information. And I don't mind sending it through my newsletter for you all as well.
Sure, Board Member Mitchell. I'll put in the chat the flyers, but
Okay.
Our first one is on Thursday, November 2nd at TAG. And then we have November 8th, 9th, and 14th. All of them will be from 6 to 7:30, and they will all be live streamed as well on APS Facebook as well as the board Facebook. And Spanish interpretation will be provided for both in-person and virtual attendees.
Okay, perfect.
And for Board Member Mitchell, for the Family Engagement Conference, I'll go ahead and drop it in the chat. We have a save the date. Our official flyer should be complete, which will list all of the conference speakers and the vendors who will be participating. And that should go out this week, and we'll make sure that all of our board members receive that.
And I'm sorry, Board Member Mitchell, I do just want to acknowledge on those regional meetings that we are having a special push for our students to attend those meetings, for there will be a conversation around that. And within that meeting, we will also have a discussion around the superintendent profile. And so those things, those characteristics you would like to see with, for our next superintendent, as well as I was going to say equity policy, but the literacy policy that the policy review committee has been working so hard on. And so we'll be asking for feedback on that information as well. So I just wanted to highlight those items on those regional meetings.
Okay, perfect. All right. So we still have a screen share real quick. Someone give me rights to share the screen. Was able to share. Okay, there we go. So with that being said, we're going to jump into doing engagement around the literacy policy for District 5. And what I put up is pretty much the draft from our policy review committee, which has been tweaked from the original draft that I submitted. I would allow Board Member Jones kind of chime in because it was a joint effort. Regarding the policy, I do want to definitely acknowledge the Atlanta Speech School for their work in collaboration with ensuring that we had certain language around the direction of what the literacy policy looks, directive around the literacy policy in conjunction to a couple of key areas when it comes to professional development for our teachers and the rollout in the district. Not directing how, but just making sure that some key language was in the policy. So I'm not sure if Tamara, you wanted to kind of kick it off and I'll chime in as well, but it's trying to give you an overview of why it was important to establish a policy for the district. As we know, one of the things that our educational system is supposed to do is educate students, and that's one of the things that Atlanta Public Schools does. But along with education is a focus on literacy when you have opportunity to look at the data and see exactly what is happening with our students and around reading, writing, spelling, and comprehension. With that being said, we know there's opportunity for improvement. We have a good opportunity for improvement for all our students. And the way that we as a board govern is one of our responsibility is to develop policy. Policy development looks different in different districts, but in our district, we have a policy review committee. I serve on the committee as well as Tamara Jones and Cynthia Briscoe Brown. Knowing where the opportunities for improvement are around literacy, it was an initiative and a lot of conversation from the community about being more aggressive around literacy. With that being said, Board Member Jones and I, in different capacities, had the same kind of viewpoint on what could we do to really push literacy aggressively for the district, and that's through policy development. With policy development, as I mentioned, we collaborated with the Atlanta Speech School, but not limited to doing other research outside of Atlanta to see what best practices there were, what other districts are doing, especially our neighboring district, Marietta City Schools, with their program implementation in their district. So it was a collaborative effort to come to this draft. The original draft that I was able to write has it was a little bit more detail because I like to load it up. Just gonna tell you, I like to load the policies up because I know once we get it to a policy review, sometimes it just gets stripped down a little bit, but that's fine. That's fine. But we are able to come to what the overall content and direction should be within the policy. With that being said, I will open the floor for Tamara, the Board Member Jones, if you want to make any comments on this, and then we could kind of go over the policy together.
Sure. Thanks, Erika. And thank you for all of your help, working on this. I really leaned on Erika's experience, writing policy in the past. And she really came through, and she's right. She tried to put in a lot more detail, in this. And the great thing about this policy is because it's so important, and the community does need to have broad buy-in for this policy for us to shift our resources and be able to, try to make this work. Community engagement was critical. And so that's why we're here, talking about this now. That's why we're going to be talking about it on the 2nd, so that people can look at this and make their comments, and I think Erika's right. Some people will probably want to add some things back in, that are a little bit more guiding to make sure that our kids are getting the kind of literacy instruction that we know, proven by science, that is proven, to help all students. And so what the administration is doing at the moment is starting with the 8 schools within APS, elementary schools, that have the lowest literacy proficiency rates. And they're trying to start implementing some of this even in advance of, the policy being developed, with the idea that whatever helps, the students who struggle the most is also going to help all students. And so that is really where we're focusing, because the literacy is the key to living a life of self-determination. And, that is what we have to give to all of our children. And we cannot any longer accept the fact that 2/3 of our kids are not reading proficiently, which is what it's been for a couple of decades now. And, I'm excited about this. I do want to get public comment. I want people to weigh in. Erika, yes, we met with other people. One of the meetings I had was with Kareem Weaver with the NAACP out in Oakland, California. And then Erika and I also had some meetings with the NAACP here locally to talk about their focus on literacy. But I won't labor the point. I'll just let y'all weigh in and move on. But hey, Pierre, is there some place that this is posted that we can advertise for people to go take a look at?
We can have it posted tomorrow on the board's webpage, and I'll make sure I send that link out.
Thank you.
Yes. And also, Board Member Jones, just in case the board stakeholders would like to share additional feedback that's not shared here today, Board Member Mitchell, that they can send that via Let's Talk, and we'll also make sure, just click on the Board of Education, and we'll make sure that information gets to the appropriate people.
Thank you.
Great. So I'll just start. One of the things that I normally do, or what we do is best practice with the policy, is make sure that there is a board belief statement, a value statement on what the policy is about. So at the very top, that is the board statement in regards to what the importance of literacy and what the board recognizes and it identifies the population that's identified that have not met grade level or state standards, which we really need to have an honest conversation about. We know we have a gap. We know we have a literacy crisis, but we also know that there's a population of students that have been disenfranchised, including African-American students, multilingual students, and students from low socioeconomic backgrounds. And so this policy, as Board Member Jones said, it serves all our students, but we lift the ones that have not had the opportunity to receive the excellent education and literacy work that we know that we can provide in Atlanta Public Schools. So the policy is to peel back those layers and get into the work in a very strategic way, using evidence-based curriculum, evidence-based professional development. And what that looks like is what we call the science of reading. It's science-based. And so that was very important to take the time to really research what does this look like for APS. Every district is very unique, but we know our students, we know their capabilities, and we know their resilience. And how do we serve them by meeting their needs collectively and through equity? And so the policy identifies combinations of different things, especially when you talk about early literacy. This is to get a jump start on that. We know that 35% of our 3rd through 8th grade are reading on grade level, but what about the rest of them? So we don't want to exclude anyone, and we want to make sure we have a plan around addressing this for the whole district and all the children. Also, one of the components of the policy is to identify the ways that we will reach the ELA standards, which is comprehensive reading and writing. And so that is broken down into 6 different areas. And I'll just pull it up here for you to look over. And this was something I went out and researched to see exactly who was doing it best. And this is a part of, you'll be surprised, Hawaii Board of Education, and what their components of ELL incorporated, but not limited to what was in line with the Georgia House bill and Senate bill. And so we took those pieces that were that really, how can I put it, really resonate with what we needed to do at APS and where those areas of opportunity were. And so that's what came up with those 6 components, meeting those ELA standards. And then also going back to what Board Member Jones and I said was selecting evidence-based literacy curriculum, ongoing professional development for staff. We always want to support our staff. We always want them to feel like they are supported in rolling out instruction and structured literacy to our students. But we also want proven curriculum that's in line with that. Also, one of the components that I really advocated for was to make sure we have budget priorities that are aligned with the policy. It's one thing to have a policy, but then don't have the funding to back what we need to do as a district. So that's one of the areas that I will be advocating for, to have a statement within the policy about having funding aligned with this policy, as we did with the equity policy, as we do with our goals. And I think it's very important, if we're serious about literacy, we need to put the funding behind it. It's just simple as that. Also, the evaluation of the effectiveness with the work that's being rolled out, and ensuring that we do have ongoing updates as progress is being made with the rollout of instruction or structured literacy in our schools. We want to be able to see how our students are doing, and if there's need to be a pivot or implement different strategies to get to where we are. We should have a check-in at least once a year, just to see where we are. And that's not excluding our goal 1 on literacy for grades 3 through 8. So we still are doing progress monitoring around goal 1, but we also have a literacy policy for all students in the district, which I think is really comprehensive to focus on the work that needs to be done. So with that being said, I definitely open the floor for any questions, feedback, recommendations that anyone may have around the literacy policy.
All right, so we have, as Akeem has done, so we have reached the first portion where we would just want all conversations to be directed towards the literacy policy. So we know you may have some additional questions about other things, but right now we only want to focus on this literacy policy. And so if you could raise your hand as Waikisha and Akeem has done, and we'll take you from there. So I saw Akeem hand first, and then we'll go to Waikisha.
Hey, how y'all doing? I hope you can hear me. So my question or comments about the literacy policy is going to be, with 1 checkup a year, is that going to be suffice to measure the progress of all students throughout the district? I would just like to add in, I think it would be best to have 2 updates, probably like in the midpoint of the year, like end of first semester and then end of second semester, so that you could see how growth or what happened, and see what happened differently, rather than waiting to the next semester to go back over the data again.
Okay, so I do want to clarify that was just the update to the board. There is ongoing evaluation that's going, I think, every 6 weeks, I believe, but that's part of the implementation of the superintendent and the rollout of the literacy plan. So what happened is they will report to us at least once a year to give us an update as a board. That's not in there in a policy once a year, but it is ongoing evaluating within the schools and administration. We just get the report. But it's not limited to what we're receiving with our progress monitoring as well, because we progress monitor our goals twice a year and our goal guardrails once a year. So we'll also get feedback from our progress monitoring report around goal 1 as well as a board, but it's ongoing evaluating throughout the year.
Okay, and so with the ongoing evaluations throughout the year, is that data gonna be reported to the superintendent, or is it gonna be reported to the board? Because I don't know, I feel like last superintendent we had, a lot of things just fell on deaf ears, and with the literacy policy, especially being that we're making new implementations towards it, as well as with the progress monitoring data. I understand that they're going to go almost hand in hand, like you're going to be looking at both data sets, or okay. So you're going to be looking at both data sets. Is the literacy policy going to like complement the progress monitoring report? Is that what I'm hearing? Like, but we'll only report on that one?
So with our goals, and let me just go back. So Dr. Battle is really leading this and the implementation of the district. So the work has already been going on with the 8 schools. When she came on board, not even a week in, we already started rolling out and making the changes and adjustment that needs to be made for the rollout of the literacy curriculum that we have been working with Atlanta Speech School on. So this implementation is really led by Dr. Battle, so she gets continual updates, which is really good because she's hands-on. The second part to it is that we have the board receive updates because we're asking for updates, right? We could receive more updates throughout the year. That's based on what the administration can and can't do. I don't want to put a time on it, but we ask for it. We've asked for those updates to be provided to us, but not limited to what we already be getting from the progress monitoring around goal 1, which is the grades 3 through 8. Those updates on progress monitoring will be given twice a year because we progress monitor those goals twice a year. So you have goal 1 being monitored twice a year, and then the updates from the entire evaluating the effectiveness of the administration and the literacy rollout will be given to the board.
All right, thank you. I mean, that you helped a lot with explaining it. It was, at first it didn't seem like that was going on. Thank you, Erika.
No problem.
I saw Waukesha put her hand down, so I think she may be good. Waukesha, you're good?
Yeah, I'm good. Hakeem had answered my question. I just want to say appreciate you, Erika, for putting this policy together. I really hope that there's something strategic done about just making sure we're moving the needle on the kids. So I really hope this go well. Appreciate you.
Yeah, thank you.
So I think that was it as far as comments, Board Member Mitchell, towards the literacy policy. Now, are we still on the literacy policy, or are you ready for?
If that's all we have on literacy policy, I'm gonna stop the screen share and let the floodgates open.
All righty. So once again, we have now reached the portion of our meeting where we'd like to engage with constituents around all things related to District 5, the district. And so, as again, Waukesha and Hakeem has done, we do ask that you raise your hand so we place you into a queue. And then we'll call your name as you guys pop up. And so we'll go Waukesha, then to Hakeem. Waukesha.
Hey, Erika. Thank you. My question is about safety. Hakeem, I don't know if this is your question here. But I'm really concerned about safety just throughout Atlanta Public School, period. I really hope you guys, I hope it's some kind of way where we could make sure the kids care for one another. I know you probably heard about the gun found at Washington. I saw the fight at Mays. I was really heartbroken. Like, is it, what can we do from the community side? You know, I know a lot of us are not able to get into the schools. We're not parents and stuff, and maybe we can volunteer. But how can we partner with Chief Applin to ensure that all of these kids are safe? And like we seen last week, you know, APS, you know, they have no place to hate. You know what I'm saying? Like, what can we really do to combat this? Because that fight I seen was bad, and that, you know, that ain't the first time. We don't talk about this plenty of time. I know Hakeem lifted up, you know, lifted that up, but what can we really do to help save these babies, especially the babies that they're not ours, but we just want to make sure they go to school, get their education, and go home. Now, I ain't asking y'all to move mountains, but what can we do?
Yeah, no, I totally understand where it's coming from. You know, I've tried to bring community together. I believe it was a year and a half ago, where we actually sat down and talk about what the problems were, how can we help as a community. And it's still the same question year and a half later that we're dealing with, because the same type of incidents and issues are still happening. So obviously what we're doing is not working, and we need to get a little bit more innovative and figure this out. I don't have the answer for that, but I want to sit down and discuss ways that we can support these students. And I know there's a lot that's been happening in these children's lives. And I believe fights and violence is the way they act out. I also believe that if we have good policies and practices in place, we need to expand upon that. And if we don't, we miss the opportunity to correct it and tweak it. So I'm open to figure out ways that we can come together to see what we could do with the violence. Now, I know y'all had a meeting last week. I don't know if you was there, was at Mays High School, the public safety meeting. And I'm just curious to know exactly what type of feedback.
Yeah, I wasn't there. And here's the other thing about that too. It wasn't live stream. I think the only one I seen was Midtown. And I think just keeping the line of communication open, at least have a way for the school community to be able to see that if they can't make it, that would have been really helpful. But I'm interested to see what was the feedback, because I do understand that Chief Applin did say things are not as bad, you know, as it seemed. Not at Mays, but he said that in general. And so, yeah, I would love to hear that feedback too.
Yeah, I know, like I said, the Mays Cluster had their safety town hall meeting last week on Thursday. So we need a follow-up from that to see exactly what we can do. I mean, it's not just for just Mays, but for all of our clusters in our areas. I know when I look at different school districts across the nation, they have different programs that they're running through their schools that have the communities and the dads. Like, I'll give you an example, Dads on Duty. They were having such a hard time in a high school at Sweetport in Louisiana. The dads started coming to school. The dads start being the mentors for the kids. They would rotate shift, but they would always have a present there, cheering the kids on when they come to school. And if there was a conflict, and de-escalating it, and being able to talk to the kids. Some of the kids don't have a father at home, so they were there to be their support system while they was in school. And that changes a lot when you're able to engage with our students that way. And their program was called Dads on Duty, because they were tired of the violence and the fightings in the schools. And so those group of dads got together and said, oh, we're going to come in our schools and we're going to help our students. Because when you see a lot of violence and uptick in violence, there's something behind it. Those kids are crying out for help. And so we have to be able to address it in a way that support the child, but also teach them that violence is not the key, and show them conflict resolution. That was one of the reasons why I wrote the restorative justice policy. You got to teach them these life skills, because when they get out in the world's not going to be calm. You do one mistake, that's it. That can cost you your whole life. So we got to teach them coping skills, life skills, conflict resolution, and violence is not the key, because they are acting out. And you can say a lot of them still for the pandemic, but this was happening before the pandemic. So we just got to get creative, and seeing how we can turn this around. But we got to be able to know where those opportunities are in Atlanta Public School, in these schools, and that's talking with the principals, talking with the counselors, and people not being afraid to have those conversations. No, we don't have the answers, but we can figure it out together. So I'm with you, Waukesha, on that. We get together, figure it out.
All right. All right.
Hey, how y'all doing?
And then after you, Akeem, we're going to Amanda.
All right, thank you. How y'all doing again? So I did drop a picture of Officer Swanson, Erika, and I meant this in the email, but I've been going through some things, but I am going to get an email out to all the board members about that. At the Mays High School homecoming game, that officer belittled a little girl, well, a student at Carver High School, got up in their face and said, I'm going to make it my duty to pepper spray you. And I was, yeah, and they ended up kicking me out because I went and I was letting the officer know like that was not acceptable to tell a young student, especially someone under the age of 18, that you were going to pepper spray them if they got to fighting. I understand there's different ways of breaking up fights, but my thing is that we got to get back to community-oriented policing. And the issue is that Atlanta Public Schools Police Department aren't responding to the calls of juveniles in the city of Atlanta. So they don't understand the full scope of what's going on amongst our youth. And that's why we have a lot of these issues. I am in support of canceling that APS PD contract and giving it back to APD, because at least we knew when we had resource officers by APD, they were in the community after school hours and they were resolving issues. The issue is that is issues in the community that APD responds to, and then they have other issues in the school system that APSPD responds to, and there's no solution for the youth. I feel like even if we do keep the APSPD, there should be some type of joint collaboration between them and Atlanta Police Department. Like maybe it should be mandatory for them to go out to calls amongst our youth because they are police officers. Just to understand like what's going on in your different areas. With that particular situation that happened during homecoming, the officer got very upset because, and they gave me a criminal trespass, like telling me I had to leave the stadium. I wasn't belligerent towards anybody. I was just asking them like, why did you say that to that young girl? Like, if that was your daughter, would you want somebody talking to your daughter like that? Because at the end of the day, we got to understand that, okay, are you for going to fight? That's inevitable. I didn't tell you to go up and sign up to be a police officer. So you're going to break up a fight, but you don't have to use pepper spray as your first line of mechanism. You don't even know if the fight is going to happen. Sometimes we got to keep our comments to ourselves as adults and maintain control of the situation. I feel like Atlanta Public Schools Police Department exacerbates a lot of issues, especially at Lakewood Stadium. It's almost like they're confused about how to police the stadium. I don't understand that. Like, how many police officers do we need at the stadium to keep our students safe when we only have, what, 2 where we host games at? There should be a easier process. And that's that. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Thank you for that.
All right, Amanda.
Hi, can you hear me all right?
Yeah.
Hi, I was wondering about Erika, the Douglas Improvement Action Plan, the short-term action plan that's been stated. I know that there's been a few dates of check-ins that have happened recently, and so I was hoping you could provide a little bit of an update on how those check-ins are going and how the improvement plan is coming along, as well as any specific updates on some of those policies that you've mentioned that you supported about in the Douglas district and across APS, helping students that are over the age of 18 get a more specialized education plan that doesn't necessarily detract from students who are on the regular path to graduation.
Gotcha. So that's something I'm working on with Dr. Battle right now to figure out. And she has a couple of meetings scheduled with her administration and other service providers around that adult education, because that's one of the key things. And in regards to Douglas Improvement Plan, the Douglas Coast Improvement Plan, I can send over the latest information that I have on it. Because I know last time I sent over Boyd, but I will get you like all of the Douglas cluster for you to review as well. And so I know that, let me see. And then in regards to the policy, oh, and I didn't mention this about the literacy policy, is that we have, oh gosh, and I'm not sure, there's a placeholder for that policy to be adopted on November 6th, but then is there, if that's if we have did all our community engagement around it, but if not, it will go up for a board adoption the first Monday of December for that policy. Then we also have policy review committee meeting, which is once a month, where you should tune in to kind of see exactly what is what we are discussing, what is up for review, what is being proposed, and what is being adopted or moving forward to the board vote, full board vote as well. And so I can get you those policy dates there for the policy committee meeting, and then send over the Douglas cluster plan, school improvement. And I don't have an update regarding the adult education, but I know Dr. Battle is working on that.
Okay, thank you. I do have another question around Boyd Elementary School is not allowed to have a PTA. And so I was wondering about, I know that the Go teams are supposed to kind of take place of a couple of other community engagement purposes, but what is kind of done around ineffective Go teams that are not necessarily open as much to community engagement or have ineffective board members who don't actually participate in their Go team meetings?
Okay, so the Go team, well, thanks for letting me know. So I'll follow back up with board Go team. PTA, we have a PTA council. I believe Waukesha is on, who is the president. Let me just see if she's still here. She is. She can give you additional information on how to start one around Boyd Elementary School. Let me just ask Waukesha. I need to ping her real quick because we're all online. Yes. In regards to Boyd Elementary School, they don't currently have a PTA, but you are the president of I'm
the first vice president. The president.
Okay. So if they wanted to start a PTA, would they go through you?
Out to us. We can make it happen.
Okay. Cool. So I'll link y'all via email, Amanda, okay, so you guys can get started on that for Boyd Elementary.
Thank you very much.
Not a problem.
And Board Member Mitchell, this is Travis. Amanda, my team is responsible for Go teams, and so we will reach out and check into Boyd's Go team, and I'll put my email in if you would like to message me directly with specific concerns as well.
Wonderful. Thank you so much.
Not a problem. Okay, I'm just making my notes.
So I think we're good right now. I think we don't have any additional questions or anything. So, any more questions from the community? Questions, concerns, feedback, anything? Well, our board member Mitchell, I think we're good.
Yeah. All right. Well, if this is it, I give you back your Monday night time, and what we can do is I'll send out a newsletter this month with some updates and other dates and times of different events, and I'll see you all in December.
Oh, before I do have a question. I'm Curly Mark, and I was wondering with these policies that you're doing, how much is it for special needs?
Special needs. This policy is for everyone. That includes our special needs students, even though they have a different, let's just say, some of our special needs, special education students have IEPs, right, or 504 plans, but this is in conjunction with what we're going to be providing for them. So it includes everyone. It's not excluding anyone, regardless if you special needs or not. We have to teach you how to read. That's come with a evidence-based approach, science of reading, and the professional development for the staff, which helps around special education. So it's not excluding those special needs students.
Okay, for the educational, component. Okay, and as far as their extracurricular activities, is that something you guys advocate? Because in the cluster that we're in, like the Douglas cluster, pretty much they have nothing, and if I've been told, oh, when they go out into the community, it doesn't seem like they advocate much for program for them, but mostly for the general educational. And I know that their motto is to be inclusive, but yet if a special need parent that has an IEP approach them about something extracurricular, it's like, oh, it's not for your child. Like, don't really understand that. But get that, yeah.
Yeah.
And so then they don't have much participation because nothing is for them. I was like, oh, really? But yet, it's said that it's inclusive, which is, that I wouldn't consider that to be inclusive if you're gonna, plan these things and say it is for everybody, but yet you don't have support in place so that they can participate.
Okay. Thank you for letting me know that. And this is in the Douglas cluster. Do you have any particular schools or?
Well, pretty much all of them, because I hear parent talk about them all, and there's really much, and I've even experienced myself, when I go like, oh, great, that'd be great for her. Oh, no, well, we can't accommodate her. I'm like, do you realize that's kind of violating the Disability Act or idea? But yeah, it's being said.
Gotcha. Okay. Let me check into that. Yes, please give me some time to check into that to see exactly what's happened with extracurricular for our special needs students. Thank you for bringing that up. I did not know.
Yes, it's been going on for quite a while.
Quite a while.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Since I've been here like 5 years, and I thought, oh wow, there's nothing here for special needs students. Even with the with the summer program, they would when they push those things out for I forgot, what do they call that summer program that you guys do?
Power Up. It used to be Powered Up or Enrichment. I don't know.
Yeah, it was Power Up, and then and then you have special needs students that sign up for them, and then when it's time, oh well, no, it's not for your student. Like, I don't understand that.
Oh goodness. Okay. Thank you so much for letting me know that. I'll talk with Dr. Battle about it. Make sure we have some programming for our special needs student. I know there's so many different vendors out there who could do it. We just need to see how we can make sure we provide that opportunity for our special needs, just as we do with our other students.
Yeah, that'd be great because there's just I've tried and I've talked to other parents, and it's the same thing. I'm like, that's interesting. You said it's inclusive, but they say, well, not for your child. Like, I don't understand that. She's still a child, and she goes to the school.
Gotcha. Okay. Thank you. And I'll be working on that. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Yeah, that'd be good to see the improvement because I know that was last school season. They were doing cupcakes or something. I thought, oh, great, that'd be good. So, but they said, it wasn't for my child. I'm like, oh, excuse me, I don't understand that. But yeah.
Okay. I'll look into that for you, and I apologize you had that experience. So we'll figure this one out.
Okay. All right. Thank
All
you.
right, thank you. And then we'll go to Miss Sherrill.
Good afternoon. I'm sorry, I didn't push this button. The question, I guess I'm gonna follow up behind Ms. Myrick. You're talking about the literacy policy, and you said it applied to all students. But the unfortunate part about it is when we use the loose terms as inclusive, it doesn't oftentimes transcend down to the classrooms. And so the students with disability or those with IEPs or 504s, but in particular those with IEPs, they're not included. So unfortunately, what she's giving you a picture of has been a true statement for years as relates to, being having the ability, student with disability, to be in AP courses. Some would say a student with disability cannot. Unfortunately, that would not be true, because you can be gifted and still have a disability. And so the other thing is they're not afforded. You'll see it, the policies say, or the requirements say, with rigor, but then you won't give the accommodations necessary to actually participate in the like ACCA or the advanced placement courses. So when you're writing that literacy policy, if you can be specific as relates to all students, but specify the students, I think that would probably capture at least the identity of the class of students that you're trying to serve, because I can tell you it's not inclusive. It excludes students with disability, and they're oftentimes not even allowed or permitted into pep rallies, because they don't have people to be with them if they don't have a para.
Gotcha.
So there are a number of things that Ms. Myrick is talking about when it comes to discrimination and participation in Atlanta Public Schools, especially extracurricular activities.
Okay.
So if we could be a little bit more specific when it comes to this literacy policy,
Gotcha.
which frightens me that we even had to come up with a policy about literacy, surrounding literacy, when that's what we're in the business about, educating students.
Yep.
But nonetheless, we're here. But if we can be more specific and intentional about our terminology and our verbiage as it relates to student with disability, it would be helpful. Thank you.
Thank you for that. I took some notes on it. Me and Tam will take that feedback, and we'll do a little bit more research on how we can make sure we make sure that all populations are being served within this policy.
All right, Board Member Mitchell, I think we're good.
All right. Well, you all have a lovely night, and I'll see you back next month. Oh, not next month. December. Yeah. Thank you.
Great night, everyone.